if the commissioners ask me to sit on a committee, there's 70 committees, over 70 committees that they serve on. And if I'm put on one of those committees, I will not have an excuse of employment to keep me from going to meetings.
Okay.
So I just feel that I probably got on the county board too soon because it left a lot of responsibility to my children when I was going to meetings. But the county board was number one. Family was number one in my church, and then county board rolled over my farming. And I think that's the way it has to be. County board has to be your first job. You can't have give an excuse, I can't come because I'm too busy. Back when these other guys were on the county board, we were mostly farmers, so once in a while, if it had been raining, we had hay mowed, we agreed that we wouldn't have a meeting that day. Mm-hmm. And we worked good that way. We had other rules that we did too, and like if somebody was sick or somebody was on a trip, we didn't do major work on the county board, like we didn't decide on roads or bridges. So we had a good working relationship, and I think that's what it takes, and I feel I have the capability of getting along with most of them. Sure, I'll speak up. I'll disagree, and I'll disagree loudly. I can remember the first time after about 3 meetings, Milt Holberg, who was a friend of mine, he was at the meeting, and he had been at a couple meetings. And he said, I want to talk to you afterwards. And he was the county extension committee. And he looked me in the eye and he said, Don, you aren't going to amount to anything on this county board. Or you aren't going to amount to a hill of beans on this county board if you don't start speaking up. And that was my first lesson in speaking up at county board meetings or any meeting I go to. I will usually express my opinion, and that's why I think it's important to get lobbying in the state.
Knowing what you know at this point, obviously you've been kind of studying the landscape of county's budget, county board, how it operates. Is there anything that you would do different walking in that you think would be a good thing, or anything that voters might be curious about that might be something that you would bring to the table that might be different?
I guess my life has been longer than any of them on the board, so I do have a lot of history and I've been involved. If you look at my list and my ads or anything, I would challenge any commissioner that they haven't been involved as much as I have. And sure, I know it's been hard on the family sometimes because I'd have to go to meetings, and for instance, and I'm not saying this for bragging sake, but it actually happened. We have a transportation committee, and up in the commissioners, they're from people all over, and they had gotten the idea that the legislature was, the outstate was going to lose control of the legislature. So they wanted to change the formula for gas tax money. And I didn't believe in that. I don't think, so they got a motion on the floor, and a second, went into discussion, and I got up, and like there's about 600 people there. And I got up and I stated my thoughts on it, that I disagreed. I think, and I had done my homework. I called Elton Reed out, and he gave me information to use. And that's what you got to do. And that night, then I campaigned around the hotels. I got the Hennepin County chairman of the Hennepin County board to support me. So it was him and I went to the meeting the next day, and we got it reversed. I think that's probably the most important thing that I ever did on the county board, because as far as I know, that gas tax is, the division of the gas tax is still the same, except they've got new money coming in now, and some of that goes more to Metro than to outstate. But it's meant a lot to Fillmore County, because I think, I'm not sure now, but I think we have probably 4 million. I don't know what it is today, but it was at one time 4 million that we got for roads and bridges from the state.
With LGA funding cuts,
Yeah.
and of course, that can directly impact property taxes.
Yep.
How do you see handling that? Are you gonna either need to raise your income, which is property taxes, or reduce your expenses? Do you think that there's possibly any trimming that might be accomplished or might be possible with the county government in general? Just or on the flip side, is there another way to generate more income? Because either way, you're looking at a significant amount of money to cough up to cover that LGA funding, and that's not just the county, but it's all the towns.
Yeah, it's the schools too.
Yep.
I think that's where we got to really lobby hard. We can't sit home here and not go to these meetings.
So if, let's say that you lobby, but it still doesn't, it's basically the big cities, the metros against the rural markets, and they tend to have more horses working on it and more resources dedicated to it right up there in the capital.
Right, that is true. But the Association of Counties is a very strong lobbyist group up there. I would think Fillmore County, as I understand it, Dwayne Baki's going to be chairman next year of it. I don't know if that's what I understand. He hasn't told me, and I haven't talked to him about it. But I think lobbying is the big thing. You don't get anything unless you go talk to them and show them. And I think we got to start showing that, say, it isn't our fault that we got all these unfunded mandates. It isn't all the county commissioners' fault for raising taxes, because we do have to support certain things. And we're a country that we don't want people to suffer. So we gotta fund for the nursing homes. We gotta pay a lot. There's a lot of things that are demanded from the county board, and I don't know if the legislature realizes this. Sure, they can say that we didn't raise taxes. Sure, indirectly they did. They make the county board raise taxes. And that isn't right, as far as I'm concerned. And I will have my discussion with them.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think would be important to share with voters who are going to be going to the polls on November 2nd and making a decision?
Well, yeah, well, the county, as I understand, in 2007, the county had a budget of $23,892,000. That's big business. I think it's important for the person that's representing District 2 to have the time to study that. I'm not saying dial in, but it's hard to have another full-time job and do justice to the county. I mean, you can have a full-time job, but not one that's demanding hourly. Like, you got to be here certain hours. I don't begrudge somebody for having a full-time job, but you can't on the county board, I don't think, have a full-time job that demands you to be there 8 to 4:30. It would be very difficult for me. When I was on the board before, I kept track of my hours the last years I was on, and I was putting in about 30 hours a week. Because it isn't just the meetings. Like they get 20,000 now for a year for 3 meetings a month. That's what it looks like. But there's all these other meetings, 70 committee meetings that we're on. Sure, some of them it's just one commissioner, some of them are all 5. And you have to be to them, I feel. If you're elected, you must attend them. And I know I had dry hay many times, and I was on the county board meeting and it rained the next day, so it didn't turn out very good. But I had a family that helped me, done the chores. You asked if there was anything else I'd like to mention. Zumber Valley Mental Health Board that I serve on is that's a close to $10 million budget they had. I served on the Corrections Board as chair for a while. I think first you got to be a county commissioner for the whole county, and then you got to represent your district. But when it comes to decision making, I think you got to look at the whole county, how it affects the whole county. Maybe one of the roads that I'm proposing. Maybe there's another road that's more important. And you got to look at the county as a whole. But I don't see any road that's as important as 27. I just, and on 25, I know that road goes by my place, but it isn't a personal thing, except that I was hauling a load of beans down the other day and I hit a hole in the road and broke the wheel right off the wagon and it tipped it over, and I had the road closed for over an hour with the sheriff out there. So I know that road needs it too. And that's a road that would serve big, I'd say 80% of my district. It's a 9-ton road, and so it's like Highland, Brattsburg area, it's a 9-ton road to get you to I-90. And for North Prairie, up at Arndal area, Arndal Township, it's a road that gets them to Rushford, Pearson, 9-ton. Okay.
All right, well, I think I'm good with questions here, unless you have any more that you want
Well, I
to
can't
share
say
now.
much about the budgets for 2011 because I studied the budget for, well, I have the budget for 2007 here, and I've gone over the budget for 2010. Before I comment on budget for 2011, I think I'd be talking off my hat. I think you need a foundation to be able to discuss it so you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
And not that I won't have opinions, but another thing that I did, and I did it all the years I was commissioner with, and Gene Olson done the same thing, and I respect Gene greatly as a commissioner, is visit every office at least twice a year. And I don't know, there probably are some commissioners that are doing it, I know some of them aren't. But I think that's important, to keep communication, not only with the office head, but with the secretary sitting there. How's it going today? Do you have any problems? I think that's important, to keep communication with every employee of Filmer County.